Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we are filming a quick review video of 10 games we played on Board Game Arena. We actually made a couple of these videos a while ago, and I was thinking it was like earlier this year or something, maybe late last year, and come to find out, my gosh, we made two of them, and they were about a year ago now, which is crazy because it does not feel like that long ago. Time flies when you're having fun. But yeah, we thought we would do one of these again, and I think we'll have another one hopefully shortly because we've played some more games as well. But this will be 10 of them that we've played on here, and kind of some quick thoughts. Hopefully, it's quick. We're not always quick, as you can tell this intro going on and on and on. But we should have some first impression videos going up alongside these, or maybe there's already some that are out there. Some we might do try before you buys, which is pretty much a playthrough of them. So if you really wanted to see a playthrough of some of these games, let us know in the comments below, and we'll make sure to actually film one of those if we have not already. So yeah, definitely if you want to see us play it, let us know. But
Yeah.
yeah, we get started here on Gnome Hollow, which I believe is a game that was on my. We made a list of, I think, 10 games we each wanted to play
Yep.
on Board Game Arena this year. I believe this one was on my list, or if it wasn't, it just barely missed my
Yeah.
list because it was one that I was pretty excited about, had heard a lot about, and we finally got this one played. It's one that, yeah, I was waiting for a while because it seemed like it was probably going to be an approachable game. You're making kind of these fairy rings with tiles. It's a tile placement game, and then you are kind of selling these mushrooms that you collect by making those rings to a market for points. So pretty simple concept, and it kind of played that way. I don't know if we're ranking these 10 or not, but I would say it was maybe a little bit of a letdown for me, just because I think I had high hopes. Obviously, it being in my 10 games that I wanted to play on Board Game Arena, I think I just had a little higher hopes, and it just didn't really. I don't know that it had a hook.
Yeah.
Set it
I
apart.
I wasn't coming in with any expectations, and I thought there were some cool parts to it.
Yeah,
But like you said, I don't think there is something that's just like, oh, that just keeps me wanting to come back to the game. But I liked when you did finally score, and when
that's
you
true.
scored your rings, and then you get rewards on your board. I thought that was very rewarding, very satisfying. Selling all your goods, it seems like you're collecting and collecting and collecting the whole game, and then you finally start selling. And once you get to that point, I did really enjoy it. But overall, it's probably middle of the road for me of enjoyment.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And on to the next one, leaders, which I feel like I am probably least qualified to review this one because I got my butt whooped in this one pretty quickly just by some uh, a brain fart, an error in judgment. But I mean, how else do you get beaten? It's a game, kind of an abstract strategy, trying to capture the opponent's leader, similar to chess, except this is on a hexagon board and not a square board. And you're kind of drafting different characters with all different abilities, assembling. I think it is you get four additional in addition to your leader. And I thought there's a lot of really cool abilities with the characters. All of them felt good, and I always wanted to keep some from you and enjoy them myself. But then I was always jealous of every single one that you had. So I think that's a sign of a good design there. At least having fun characters. But there is a lot of stress in this where it's like, you can't mess up, you can't mess up, similar to all of these games where you're trying to outmaneuver and capture someone's leader or line up four in a row or something like that. There's always that stress of like, okay, I can't be setting them up to get me. And when that's how the game's gonna most likely end, is not really having a choice and having to give in and set up the opponent. I I'm kind of mid on that. It's hit or miss, that kind of game for me. Some of them I really like Santorini, but this one wasn't hitting as much as I thought it would.
Yeah, I agree though that like all the people that you could kind of draft all did feel really good because most of the time I wanted all of them, and sometimes in games it's like I don't really want either of those, so I guess I'll take this one. And I didn't feel that here. Maybe if I played it a bunch of times, I'd be like, this guy's kind of weak. Uh, but they felt like they were all pretty balanced, at least from one play. But yeah, I would agree that this isn't always my style of game where you are pretty much trying to think a bunch of moves in the head and trap your opponent, essentially, checkmate them, is pretty much what you're kind of doing. And yeah, sometimes it just ends up the opponent doesn't see something. And yeah, you either like that game, you know if you like it or not. And if you do like it, this one definitely might be one you want to check out because, yeah, I think the different people that you're bringing out there with the different powers kind of making it kind of a totally different, by the end of it, once you have all of them out there, it's kind of like you're both doing different things. So I think you could really like this one if you like this style of game.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But I would agree that it was kind of meh for me as well.
Yeah, and very quick as well.
Yeah, it was very quick.
But I think I would have this below Gnome
Yeah, I
Hollow.
would agree.
Guess maybe that's kind of how we'll rate it. Just kind of try to slightly slot it in. And we have a toy battle, which is scroll down. This is from Paolo Mori and Alessandro Zucchini. Paolo Mori was the big name there that drew me in. I was like, wait a minute. I just clicked on toy battle. I saw some toy figures on the cover, and I'm like, that looks like that could be cool. And I'm like, Paolo Mori, he's done some great games that I love, and I thought this like reminded me a lot of Blitzkrieg, which he also did, where you kind of are on two sides of, on this one, you're on two sides of a map and you're drawing tokens, and you kind of have a pool of little square tokens that are your units that you kind of put out onto the map. And that felt very similar to Blitzkrieg, where they each kind of have a value and some of them have special effects. I think this one's a little wilder. Fittingly because of the theme. Although Godzilla does make an appearance in the Blitzkrieg expansion,
True.
this one he is just mainstream. That's what it's all about is wackiness, and I like this one. You can either get to your opponent's side and get to their kind of headquarters, or you can just kind of outlast them, and I'll just end with maybe the most points for controlled areas. Or I think also get to like 7 points. So there's kind of a few different strategies. It was a little more back and forth of kind of how ours was going to end. I know we each kind of made a race for each other's base at one point. And then also it got close to, I think you almost got a lot of points. I think you might have almost got the 4 point area, which would have really swung the game, but I was ending up outlasted you by making you run out of tiles. I like this one a decent amount. It's a fun, quick game. I do like that you just get the tiles. You got to deal with them that you have. It's not going to be super strategy, think way ahead. That's where this is very different, kind of similar, trying to capture to leaders, but in a totally different way. I think I prefer this one. This might be my favorite so far that we've talked of.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I'd initially seen this one and just assumed it was maybe some kids game just based on the name and the look of it. But then when you asked, I was like, what is that kid game? And then you said Palomari. I'm like, oh. So my ears perked up when you said that because I was like, oh, I did not know that. So that made me more interested. I would agree with everything you said about it being similar. But I probably would prefer Blitzkrieg over this. But yeah, I think this is kind of a maybe my first Blitzkrieg kind of feeling game because there is a little bit more of a luck factor. I felt like depending on which tiles you picked up at what time could be a little bit of that. But yeah, I think it's still it was pretty good. It was, but I had went into it with no expectations until I heard Palomari's name. So
Mhm.
yeah, I. But out of the three we've talked about so far, I think it is my favorite so far as well.
Wow, even higher than no. Oh, I didn't know if
Yeah.
you would. Nice. Oh boy, The Hanging Gardens. And this is a kind of tile a drafting game where you have like 3 columns of tiles. You place your meeples. There's room for, I think it's 3, 4 high tiles. There's 2 spots at the bottom of each column, and you kind of placing back and forth workers in those spaces. Once there's two in a space, I think you draft three tiles, and so it could be possible you can't access the space anymore. But you're taking those tiles, and there's a bunch of different symbols, bunch of different types of tiles and ways of scoring. Um, there's so many games that this feels like these scoring mechanisms. It's like collect three types of these trees that are adjacent to each other in your thing. Collect a row of all the same type flowers and connect those. Or this card says to have water tiles in these spots here. It just feels like a lot of different things. Like what is the one? Sagrada kind of has you laying out where you want your things and um, a lot of games. But I like this one. I like the bonus tiles that you can get for it, that you can turn kind of your blank tiles and kind of have them in the air of what they are. So you can set it in place and still not be locked down. And you can possibly pick something up later that would really fit there. It's not too complicated. I think it's pretty much nails what it's going for.
Yeah, I would agree. This is kind of a intro style game, intro to learning games. And yeah, I thought the being able to change some of your tiles throughout the, well, not throughout the game, but once at least, I thought that was probably the coolest hook to this one that set it apart from maybe some of the others a little bit. But yeah, at the end of the day, you're kind of trying to get, yeah, certain types of set collection a little bit or fulfill certain, objectives. You kind of have some of the tiles are water tiles versus some are not, and you're trying to get those in certain locations potentially. But yeah, a lot of games kind of like this. I think this one is a fine one for that. So if this was a theme that you enjoyed, I'm not sure. I think the artwork was pretty solid. So in real life, I'm not sure if it is a really nice looking one. This might be kind
Coimbra
of.
art. Ooh,
Oh yeah.
medieval. Yeah.
So yeah, this might be something that uh, catches your eye and something that you like. And if you don't have any games like that, where you're just kind of building your little area tableau to kind of meet requirements and fulfill those kind of things, this one maybe could be for you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I would probably put this one at number two out of the four that we've talked about.
Yeah, I
Just
was
just
thinking that.
because we do have several games that feel kind of similar to this,
Yeah.
and even with that kind of being able to potentially get a blank one to fill in maybe something really good, uh, being a pretty cool mechanism. I don't think it quite got me above
Mm.
the toy battle yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this would be second for me as well. And also first player is pretty important in this one because it gives you a discount. I think that's what it was.
Oh yeah,
Discount for the objectives. And the objectives, you claimed one, I think, in like the first turn. Or first or second turn because of it, because it could be like, oh, get two tree tiles or three tree tiles. And if you're first player, you
true.
only need to get two. I'm like, that's 30% of the objective. It's discounting you. So big deal, which is
Yeah,
cool.
definitely a big deal in this game. Actually, that probably puts it to number one for me because that was a very cool mechanism. We have a video out there. I don't know that anyone watched it really, talking about first player in games, and we had talked about some different ways where we maybe like it, times where it's like meaningless to us. And in this game, it is very meaningful, and I love how they use it because there are so many games out there that it's like, oh, you can take this action to get the first player, and you're like, why? It doesn't get me anything else good. But yeah, in terms of, that counting towards fulfilling things, that's awesome. So
So,
yeah, this one's gonna actually be number one for me right now.
oh, nice, nice. Then we move on to Cafe. Maybe at this point, the most hyped by both of us of these
Yes.
games.
And I don't think this one we knew about when we made our list. I don't think it was available in beta or anything yet. So otherwise this would have probably made my list. No, not probably. It would have made my list of 10 games I wanted to play on Board Game Arena. Because it was a game that I've wanted to play for I don't know how long now, and I thought it was supposed to be re-hitting retail at some point here, but it just still has not happened, so I don't know when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. But it's got the kind of uh, layering or whatever you want to call that mechanism where you're putting kind of building your tableau of cards and you're having to cover up pieces of your cards and they have different symbolic symbols on them, which is you're following this process of kind of getting coffee beans or producing them and then is it drying them? drying them and crunching them up or whatever they are. Kind of three different processes, and the way it works kind of makes me think a little bit of Fall of the Mountain King, where if you have it all in a kind of adjacent area, a bunch of different symbols of the same type, you take that action as just one action to kind of do them all, which is really cool because you're like trying to get like symbols together, so, but also, still trying to manipulate the cards so you don't cover up too much good stuff. And then you get usually have a few of them on your cards that kind of score points by, putting
Yeah.
the cubes on them after you've put them through that full process. So you kind of are wanting to manage a few different things, along with your warehouse, which will get you points as well, depending on how many of each color you get in there. And yeah, I thought this one was pretty great. This one's now my number one. It easily takes the spot. I think it did meet my expectations for this one, which yeah, this one I had high expectation going in, which it seems like it's been a detriment to some games that I've played, like Gnome Hollow probably being one of them, where I had too high of expectations. This one lived up to it for me.
Okay, yeah, I might have been a little too high going into this, so I think it hasn't quite lived. I wouldn't call it a disappointment, but I don't think it's quite lived as high up to what I thought it could be. But I still enjoy it, and I think it might still sneak out the number one spot at this point for me as well. It can get you have to make sacrifices usually in this game
Yes.
where you cover things up, and it can really hurt, especially if you're covering up one of those kind of roasting symbols or something like that, where it really feels like you should keep that. Sometimes the cards don't line up, and sometimes you just end up one turn short of being able to sell things and get a ton more points. So it can be a punishing game, but it's a really cool puzzle, and the engine is so satisfying if you can get it to work.
That's true.
Oh boy, King of Tokyo Duel. We
The
both
year of
played.
the duel.
Yes, the year of the duel. We have a little more coming on later, and this one we have a little history with King of Tokyo. We played
A
it
little
a
history.
handful of times. I guess I don't know how many times would you say you played it. I don't know. I played it maybe once or twice in person, and maybe a handful of times on Board Game Arena, the original.
I feel like in total I've only played it maybe 4 or 5 times. The
Okay,
original.
so
Not too many times. I probably played it only as many times you did in person, or once
more
more.
than your last five delivered Kickstarters combined. Plays.
Wow, wow.
But we weren't huge fans of it. I liked some parts of it, the Yahtzee aspect. So getting a dual version. I always love the theme, monsters fighting,
Hmm.
and some dual games have been really, really solid. And this one, I don't believe is from the master. It's Garfield who designed the first one, but not Garfield and Bruno Catala, which was alarming that we did not have Bruno involved in this dual game. But having played it, you still got that monster fighting. You still have kind of multiple paths to victory, either eliminating the opponent or getting control in tug of war, very kind of similar to the warfare in Azul, not what is it? The first one, Seven Wonders Duel. I'm mixing
Oh,
them
yeah.
all up. Kind of the war track in that little tug of war here, where you can win multiple ways on the tug of war for having one of your tokens all the way to the end, or both the tokens kind of halfway to the end. So a few different ways to win it here. And I like this one very much like Seven Wonders Duel to Seven Wonders. I like this one significantly more than King of Tokyo. I think the battling is, it's the same thing. You're rolling dice for hits, but it just seems so much more focused versus the weirdness of being in Tokyo. You can stay in Tokyo, multiplayer, but then everyone attacks you, and then you can jump out, or you can attack everyone. It gets rid of that in Tokyo, outside of Tokyo, that I never really enjoyed that much. But it still has all the Yahtzee action, and this is easily my number one so far.
Yeah, I think I would agree that I liked it better than the original, but like you said, maybe you weren't talking for me, but I I was mid on the original. So even though I like this one more, I still don't think that it like brought it up significantly for me as a game, but it did definitely have some DNA from the original. If you do like that one, but added a few extra things. I just don't know if those things hooked me quite as much. So, but I think it's still better than most of them. I'd probably put it around the same spot as Gnome Hollow for me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh boy. Ooh. Small game, maybe the smallest game that we have so far. Kado or Kado, however you pronounce it. The gift giving game where you can challenge people if you don't like the gift. And you can say, what did you get as a gift? I want that maybe. If I can guess it correctly, then we're gonna swap gifts. Classic Christmas time shenanigans there. Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
it is that. You're kind of building a grid, a 3 by 4 grid, and in the rows, you want multiple of the same type of good, so multiple cakes or something like that, and then you'll score each of their points added together of one type of good for each row. And then for columns, you want them to be the same color, and then you will score the highest if all three in the column are the same color. Then you score the highest value amongst them. So kind of have that puzzle going on, and the way you get them is you pick up, I think, one tile at a time. You pick up one, you decide whether it goes to you or the opponent, or you throw it away. And you can draw up to 3 tiles. So you could throw away the first one, give the second one to yourself, and then the opponent just ends up with the third one. So sometimes you can control it, sometimes you can't control it, and you'll have to be thinking, they gave me the second tile. They kept the first tile. They must have something really good. So I want to swap for that. And it's like, well, do I actually want what they wanted for themselves? Would I want that for me? Or would I want to just take it to stop them? It's really for these very small games where you're creating a small grid, just a few cards in a whole game. I think this is one of the best ones. I think it really stands out just because of that guessing, that outthinking, and then trying to outthink yourself. Even it's like, okay, what do I do? Sometimes you hurt yourself, even giving yourself not so great of a one. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of different tactics you can employ, and not all of them are smart.
Yeah, and I think that's why. So I liked this one. It'd probably fall right before the Gnome Hollow and King of Tokyo Duel that I just talked about, somewhere right above them. And yeah, I like it as a game, and it's a quick game, which I think helps for what you are doing because of kind of that guessing and possibly stealing from them. Because yeah, like you said, do you want to stop them from possibly getting a good one? Do you want to just focus on you getting a good one? Or yeah, because sometimes it's weird because it's like if you guess right, it might hurt you. So this is kind of weird pull of whether you want to get it right or not. Because it might not even necessarily help them. They just don't want to give you that card, or maybe they don't have a clue what it is. Um, so yeah, I think just because there's kind of that almost too weirdness of I can be right, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. Doesn't necessarily mean it'll help me. So I think that's the only thing that holds it back a little bit for me. But otherwise, I think it's very solid.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this would probably be maybe second for me, right behind King of Tokyo. Ooh, boy. Architects of Amytis, obviously.
Amytis. Amytis. But yeah, this one you have another tableau grid of a 3 by 3, and you are gaining these different types of buildings by placing your workers in another 3 by 3 grid. And once one's been claimed from a certain space, you kind of have that worker on there. No one else can take from that stack until they're all removed. Um, and yeah, so you are taking those tiles and putting them over, and they typically would score you points based on what it wants. Sometimes it's like, oh, wall pieces, and you want all of those around there. And if you keep adding to it, it keeps giving you more and more and more points. Or there's other ones like I think the layer that it's at the level that it's on, because on your own board you can stack them on top of each other if you want, or you can keep just filling out the ground until you pretty much would have to stack one on top of another. And yeah, it's It's actually a lot of fun. I like this one quite a bit. You on the other side or on the place where you're claiming them, you're also potentially trying to do a little bit of tic-tac-toe, getting kind of three in a row in a straight line to trigger kind of these bonus scoring options. And I liked that little piece. It was pretty difficult to get that because usually it meant if you were getting one, your opponent would get one, is they'd pretty much allow you to get yours, and then that would typically mean they could get theirs.
Mm.
Typically, at least from our plays of it. And yeah, so then you just keep going until those run out, and then you kind of score at the end of the game. And yeah, this one for me, it'd probably be right after Cafe, so it'd probably be my number two. I think that was right.
Oh, yep, yep.
So yeah, I liked what this one was doing. I like when you are placing them down and kind of scoring points, chunks of points, and then yeah, still trying to fight for those end game points as well. A lot of fun.
Yeah, this might sneak into my now new number two, right behind King of Tokyo. This is, like you said, just a lot of cool parts. The stacking, the scoring, you're getting points every turn, like those walls, each additional one you add gives you points more and more and more. You get up to 8 points and then 10 points. And it's so rewarding. And you're trying to fulfill shapes of colors on your board
Oh yeah, trying to
for
fulfill.
end game, or not end game, just objectives. So many cool parts, all intuitive. Great stuff. Oh boy. Speaking of having a lot of things going on. Goodness.
I think this one was probably also on my list of 10 I was looking forward to playing on Board Game Arena, but this one was much heavier. I think pretty much heavier than everything else we've looked at so far. This is one I've been excited about ever since. I think Tom Bassel from the Dice Tower either gave it like a 9 or 10 out of 10, Seal of Excellence, one of his top games. I think it might even be in his top 100. Um, and I'm like, ooh, that sounds good. That sounds like a Euro game. And you're placing you get these chips with I think different values on them. It's been a little bit since we've played it, but you are placing on kind of the different action spots, which end up being these different planets, which are mostly all just different tracks. They kind of hide it in some of them. They're trying to hide being a track, but they're essentially most of them are just you're going up these tracks and you're getting bonuses and stuff along the way. They'll kind of do it slightly differently and maybe some sort of points and stuff. And yeah, so you're managing going up those tracks and getting those bonuses, and then kind of depending on where you're placing on you can see maybe on that little screen, there's a left and right side of the board. Those are kind of they can turn into votes for certain end round scoring condition as to which one it's going to be. So you're managing that, and depending on I think what side you put it on, it can also bump up this top scoring thing, which I think if it gets to the end of the track, it scores it at the end for bonus. There's just a lot going on in this game, and I really remember. Like I said, it's been a little bit, but I remember loving this one a lot. We need to get it back to the back to the table laptop Pepper. Got to give her another try. I think this one was maybe a little overwhelming for Pepper, but I was really liking what it was doing. It felt very rewarding, kind of the different spaces. I felt like as you were going up the different tracks or different things that they had, you're always getting like it just felt like you were getting a lot almost every time. It's what it felt like to me, but I don't know if you had a different experience. I'd probably put this one at number one or two.
Ooh, number one or two. Oh my goodness. I I was worried, and then you were teaching this, and I'm like, it was going through a teach usually. I'm like, okay, this ain't that bad. But I'm like, oh my goodness, this is too much. I'm gonna have to opt out of this game. But kind of halfway into the game, it's just like, okay, it's clicking, it's working, I'm understanding it, and I'm liking it. I'm liking what I'm doing here. It is very rewarding getting up those tracks and just big moves that you can do. Every single thing near the end of the game feels important, and I did end up actually really enjoying this one. I don't think it takes a top spot for me. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle, maybe like fourth, fifth, something like that. But I do enjoy it. I would give it a solid thumbs up still.
Nice. And I think our game ended up being, I don't know if they're always going to be this close, but I think we had a 1 point difference
Yeah.
in a game, and it was over 250 points that we both scored. So it's insane that we were within 1 point.
Yeah, and
I don't
two
know if that would ever happen again, but
totally different strategies too. Like we went
yeah,
to
that's
different
true.
tracks. I went heavy on the votes. Uh, I think maybe you won one vote. I forget, but just very different
Mhm.
strategies. Awesome. And then last, Return of the Duel. It wasn't done with us yet. Azul Duel. Um, yeah, any franchise, they gotta. It's like movie franchises, they gotta go to space eventually or go time traveling. Board games, you gotta make a dual version. You gotta make a legacy version. So we're waiting for Azul Legacy. But we got the duel, and it's it was pretty good. It was pretty good, I have to say. It feels probably the most similar to the original Azul. The board is, I think, pretty much it's a square board. It's very similar looking to the original board, except in this one you're drafting 4 by 4 tiles that tell you what colors go where. So where in the original it kind of was set evenly spread out what tiles can go where. This one, you decide. So maybe you have a blue and another blue in the same row or something like that. So I really like that aspect of it, that you kind of get to create your board. It gets a little less interesting as you get closer to the end of the game, where you're still drafting those tiles. You're like, I'm never going to place on these tiles. I'm already building elsewhere with the tiles I placed in the first half, but in building it out is interesting. I like the drafting in this one. It's similar to the regular drafting, but the leftovers, I think, was an interesting twist where they aren't all available. They don't all go to the center. You stack them in the kind of leftover section for each tile that they came from, and then when you take the tops of those tiles if they are matching colors. So you can kind of control what you're giving available to the opponents, which I thought was a cool twist.
Yeah, I liked all the things that this had, and yeah, I think then at the end of the round two, you draft these little pieces that can, if
Oh,
you get two of the same color, you can kind of count that as a another one if you needed to fill in one space. Those can be nice. But yeah, I liked everything that this one was doing. I think it definitely convolutes it a little bit versus like the original. I think the original is still just a masterpiece, kind of just of clean turns. It all makes sense, very clean. This one has a little bit more muddling, I think, so making it little bit more going on. But I think it's still solid. One of the better dual games I think we've played. I'd probably put it around like middle of my pack, probably like fifth position, maybe fifth, sixth position. But I did enjoy myself in this game. So
I think we're having a duel of duel games at the top of my list. I think this might be number two. For
wow,
me, I really like it. I think like you get the control. It's not just like, oh, now there's 10 reds in the discard and someone
yeah,
takes them all. It's like you pace it and you can avoid kind of passing the baton kind of who's getting the last thing, where sometimes it's just like, oh, you just count the tiles and you're like, well, I'm ending up with all that broken glass or something like that. But here they have those additional actions of getting those tokens you said, getting the tiles to place on the board. It's just gives you more options to avoid taking the terrible, terrible things, the hot potato.
yeah, that's fair. That is true. But yeah, that'll probably lead us to by the end of the year. Maybe we'll be making a top 10 dual games if we have enough of them. Um, these two will definitely probably be making that list. But yeah, if you made it this far and you liked the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe for future videos like this, and yeah, we might have some of these, like I said, already out there with some try before you buys or first impressions, so you can go check those out. Otherwise, hopefully they will be coming. And like I said, let us know in the comments below if you would like to see those. If we do not have the try before you buys, if you'd like to see a playthrough of them on Board Game Arena specifically, let us know. We'd love to make those videos. But otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.